Okay, everyone, welcome to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Intermacs and Pedimacs Quality Reporting webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started. Appreciate everyone joining today. Looks like the participants have kind of slowed down. So we'll go ahead and get started. And just want to welcome everyone. My STS colleagues, Leanne Jones, who is the STS National Database Manager for the GTSD and Congenital Heart Surgery Database. Thank you for your support. And we're going to welcome everyone from Kirkland Solutions. Today we have Dr. Brandon Singletary, Dr. Ron Cantor, Dr. Rudaraju is not on today. He may join us later. And want to welcome Maceo Clojet. I'm sorry I did not put your name on here, but I'm sure many of y'all know Maceo because he helps with all the, he's the clinical analyst for all the reports. So that helps with the verification and everything and getting them packed up and ready to go. And thank you to John Pennington, who is the Director of Data Management for Kirkland Solutions, and he is our go-to person for all the data sets, data integrity. So thank you everyone from Kirkland Solutions that have joined today. Just want to I always give this COVID-19 update because we are still in the process of this. If anyone wants to do televisits, you can still do those. Quality of life surveys may be done over the phone or by email or mail. And if follow-up visits are done outside of the visit window, please enter the last date of the follow-up date visit into the database. And that is actually on your follow-up form. Sites, you have 30 days after the follow-up window due date to enter the data for the COVID-19 exception. If you have any questions, you can email myself. I'm Catherine Holyfield. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself earlier, or Patricia Potter. So just want to thank everyone for all their experience with the Intermacs database, and thank you for helping Intermacs and Pedimacs grow. Appreciate all the responsibilities that you have and for entering the data again. And so now, actually today, Brandon Singletary is going to go over the new updates for the dashboard. And so Brandon, I will hand it over to you. I will stop sharing and let you go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
So while we're waiting for Brandon to share a screen, just remember that everyone, you do have Dr. Cantor on here and Maceo to ask any questions about the reports that you have. And if you have any questions about the data, you can ask John.
Okay, I think I've got the screen up and going. You can all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as mentioned, we wanted to just briefly update you on a few updates to the Intermacs database. And then those of you with Pedimacs, be on the lookout. Some of these updates as well as additional exhibits will be adding to the Pedimacs dashboard as well coming at the end of this quarter. So be on the lookout for that. But for today, we'll just cover these updates to the Intermacs dashboards. So for those of you who either have visited the dashboard before or have not, just as a quick reminder, ways in order to access this dashboard is this dashboard tab here, as well as within the reports tab where you would get those quality reports, live data downloads, SAS research data sets, as well as accessing the outcome analytics, which is that Kaplan-Meier tool as well. So we'll go ahead and go to the dashboard. It provides you a quick disclaimer notice, and it'll take you to your main landing page for the dashboard. And so this page is the same as it was before. This is your summary page, which provides you a nightly update of counts of different events that happen at your site. And so this is going to be form specific as forms are entered and submitted. They will show up here, again, updated on a nightly basis. So this will give you things like a count of your total active patients at your site during that quarter, any new patients, all total implants, and then counts of outcomes like AEs, bleeds, infections, device malfunctions, neurological dysfunction and death, as well as transplants and cessation support. Then the patient characteristics tab, this also is going to look very similar. We will be updating this site implant volume filter to the 2022 implant volume for your sites for that year. For the previous year, that will be coming out at the end of this month as well. But the major changes are going to be found here under your adverse events tab. Now, while it looks the same, there's a few small changes, particularly in that we broke it down into 30-day outcomes and 90-day outcomes. Within your 30-day outcomes, we have the similar AEs of mortality, stroke, readmission, device malfunction, pump thrombosis, severe device malfunction, pump thrombosis, GI bleed, severe infection, and pulmonary infection. So as you can see here, within each of these, you have a table of both counts as well as your patient percent values, and then follow-up days during that quarter for each patient, and then that 30-day mortality rate, as well as a calculation of how that event rate was calculated for each of these. So this table will show you kind of in a table format, and then below that we have a figure which will kind of give you a trend line here of your mortality, patient percent, or whatever AE you might be looking at within this. That kind of shows how your site matches up as compared to aggregate overall Intermacs sites. And so if you haven't used this dashboard before, these filters here allow you to look at a subset of your population as well as the overall Intermacs population. So say, for instance, you just wanted to look at your sites compared to other similar volume sites within Intermacs. You would deselect the other groupings of implant volume and then look at just how your site compares to the aggregate Intermacs sites of similar volume. And so this would show you your overall counts of patients implanted, as well as, again, those AE counts and calculations of patient percent and rate. Again, showing your kind of trend line over time over the last 4 quarters. You can keep this filter applied as you move throughout the dashboard. So if you wanted to look at readmissions next, it would keep that applied, as well as, say, severe infections. It's, again, kind of giving you an example of how your site might perform as compared to other similar volume Intermacs sites. Then moving on to those 90-day outcomes, this is what some of our new exhibits we provide you within this. So we've broken it out to include a second mortality page, which is 90-day mortality instead of 30-day mortality. So this gives you 2 additional months of capture, or 60 additional days, to allow for those events to occur. This was requested to kind of match some similar calculations that are shown both within the quality reports as within other reporting and quality assessment options throughout Intermacs and what other sites use. And then a new addition to this dashboard is this respiratory failure within 90 days. And again, similarly provides you a table of those counts, patient percents and rates, and then across time over the previous 4 quarters, that trend line. So previously we did have device-related infection and driveline infection in 90 days, but then these were 90-day outcomes. Because these events occur very infrequently, we we calculated these at a 90-day outcome in order to allow more events to be shown, as well as just so there weren't so many sites that had zeros across the board for these. So it kind of gives you a little bit better information, we feel. And so all of these filters can be used similarly to that site implant. Say you just wanted to look at your DT patients, you could either unselect these others or deselect and just select DT patients. So the destination therapy patients are shown here as compared to aggregate Intermacs for all sites for all destination therapy patients. And then as provided before, we also have this metric and benchmarking tab, which provides you a couple different ways of looking at some metrics of length of stay and ICU days. The first way, looking at it at a patient level, and so this compares your patients across the previous 4 quarters against all Intermacs patients, regardless of site. And then looking at it also at the hospital level, so comparing how your hospital performs against other Intermacs hospitals, both at a previous rolling 4 quarters and within the last 4 years, all combined. And so this box and whisker plot shows the distribution of all of the sites, kind of going on a vertical line here, with each individual dot representing a median length of stay for that site, with your sites kind of highlighted here in this bold green or whatever color is assigned to your site based on the dashboard here. And so this shows that the again, we're demoing a randomized hospital X here, but your site would show up here as this dot. Say if this was your site, this would show that your median length of stay is 25, which is above the median length of stay of the aggregate Intermacs calculation for all Intermacs sites. And so similarly with ICU days, it provides you both at a table level and figures within all Intermacs patients comparisons, as well as all Intermacs hospital or sites. So as we continue to provide new exhibits and new functionalities for this, we encourage everyone to utilize this tool and provide feedback to us about ways that this dashboard either is helpful or if there's any ways we can continue to improve it. We are happy to receive all both advice or criticism, whatever you may want to call it. We are happy to accept all of that, and we look forward to continuing to improve this dashboard, both at the Intermacs level as well as at the Pedimacs level, to both provide a tool that is hopefully useful as well as meaningful to your operations.
Okay, thanks, Brandon. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions, please let us know. This is the time, because you have you actually have Dr. Cantor and Brandon for a few more minutes. So if anyone has any questions, please let us know. So it looks like we do have a few questions. Someone asked, I no longer have access to the data, to the dashboard. It is now restricted. Why is that? Yes, we actually hope everyone can hear me. We actually yes, we have moved to a new platform for the dashboard called Tableau, which will actually help the upgrades. But STS has decided we're going to limit it to 1 user. If you are the one, so every site needs to just decide who wants to use the dashboard. If you do not have privileges to it, you can definitely have your whoever has privileges to print out whatever you need or look for what you need. So actually the cost for a new user, for an extra user, is $199. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. At the end of the webinar, I will share my my contact information. We have another question. We would love to be able to select the time periods under review, since it currently displays 4 quarters, including the current quarter, which isn't complete. We are really only reviewing 3 quarters. We'd like to compare year by year the past 3 years, for example. So if anyone from Kirkland Solutions can answer that, that'd be great.
Sure, I can speak on that. So, yeah, absolutely. That's kind of one of probably the most frequent requests that we get. And that is currently being developed within our system now in order to provide you that capability. We hope in the near future to allow users to continue to manipulate the dashboard in ways that you would want to see that. So they're giving you the ability to filter to different time periods, both looking at a quarterly level, at a 6-month time period, or even at a yearly period of the previous 4 years, kind of giving you more customizability within the user on that end. So as we mentioned, we kind of moving to this Tableau within the Kirkland Solutions server system. So it will provide us additional capabilities to provide you, again, that kind of more customizability at a user level. But that's definitely high on our list as a new feature that we want to get to users very soon.
Okay, thanks, Brendan.
And let me make a comment on that as well.
Okay.
That'll work well for really short-term outcomes. Like the dashboard is really designed around doing short-term outcomes. If you want to look at short-term or longer-term outcomes, comparing different years, the time to event tool that we have in the system will let you do that live now. It doesn't have the exact same short-term metrics, but you could do, you know, the statistically appropriate time to event analysis for like mortality, and then select a time range of patients selected, you know, in the last 2 years, and then the 2 years prior to that. So that's a way you could kind of get at that answer with tools that are available in the system now. And all users should have access to that tool on the, it's under the reports tab and then outcome analytics.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Excuse me. The next question is there a way to add more than 4 quarters to those reports? So Amy, are you talking about the quarterly reports or the dashboard? So if anyone can speak on that from Kirkland Solutions, that'd be great.
If it's the dashboard, this is John. It sounds like the answer there would be kind of what Brandon and Ron covered, which is us reviewing ways to roll that out in upcoming updates.
Okay, thanks. And she said they answered it. Great. The next question is there a way to get 30-day readmission report based on implant year versus discharge year on the Intermacs reports or dashboard? And if anyone from Kirkland Solutions can answer that, that'd be great.
Sorry, I was just checking one thing on our, not in the dashboards, but in the QA report. Like the static PDFs that go out every quarter, there's a recent year, like a more recent, like there's the cumulative version of that report and the recent version of that report. And in that recent version, it is the latest 6 quarters. So if you want something that is looking at different things over the last 6 quarters, that's available right now in the kind of QA report. So it hasn't been integrated into the dashboards yet, like we said, but if you wanted to explore things just a little bit longer ago than 4 quarters, you have access to that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ron.
Is there a way to get 30-day readmission reported on implant year versus discharge year? Let's see. Trying to think of how we would do that. We don't, Brandon, we don't really have that coming anywhere in our dashboarding, do we?
No, we did have a question recently about readmission, about how, how we're defining it based on the implant date versus the discharge date. So that may be some internal discussions that we can have regarding that, as far as comparing implant year versus discharge year. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what you're alluding to, or if just using the discharge date instead of the implant date for readmission. That's something that we can discuss internally for sure.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, everyone. And then another question is, reviewing 6 quarters does not lend itself to year-by-year comparisons for AEs. The reported rate for all patients implanted during the 6 quarters. Hard to trend if you're improving or getting worse. So I understand, Melissa. So Melissa, are you wanting more quarters? Like across the whole patient's Intermacs timeline? Because I know Dr. Cantor and Dr. Singletary, we've had a lot of questions of, 6 quarters is, less, more. Let's see. I'd like to compare stroke rates in 2020 versus 2021 versus 2022. I believe we have, don't we have stroke and neurological dysfunction? Are we in the process of breaking that down, or I actually thought it was available? Dr. Cantor, can they do this
I
on
think
the
the
reports?
reoccurring theme, I think, if we're trying so we don't have that readily available currently. The closest thing you could do with the tools that we currently have is you could see time to event, like time to first stroke, and compare different year for patients implanted in different years. I think the reoccurring theme, we're seeing is that, as we work on new features for the report, we should prioritize having a view or a mode that's looking at it by year, like over the last X number of years. Like, I think that would kind of get at a number of these questions.
Okay, yeah, and we can definitely discuss that.
Sure, yeah.
So, yes. Thank you, Melissa, and we will definitely talk about that internally. Appreciate your question and bringing that up. So this is actually the time, if you have any questions for Dr. Cantor, because he's on the line about your reports, and any questions about the dashboard. So I'm going to kind of move on to just, you always know we want your feedback, and here's the contact information. You can contact myself, Catherine Holyfield, or Patricia Potter. If you have any database operational questions, you can email the Intermacs FAQ mailbox. And we do have resources. Just want to bring up again about the data quality form. If you have any validations, you can complete that form, which is located right here. And these slides are actually available. They'll be posted on the STS website. We're working to have a process to post all this on the Kirkland Solutions Intermacs website. And also, just to let you know, our next user group will be May 31st at 1 p.m. Central Time, and our next Intermacs reporting webinar is July 20th at 2 p.m. Central Time, because we have these reporting webinars every quarter. So we'll go ahead, and here's another question. For the reported events section of the dashboard, is there a way you can get more information so that you can validate the dashboard against live data? For example, the number of bleeds for quarter 4 2020 is 25. However, in the live data, you may have 23 bleeding AEs for Q4 2022. Is it possible to get that information? Let's see. So the what is the lag time for the dashboard?
So the first page where it's just doing counts
Right.
is updated nightly. So that should
Okay.
be very, very close. We do have on our list of features to develop an ability to drill down there. So that's not live yet, but that's something that is in the works for a future upgrade. The rest of the reports where we're reporting outcomes and things like that, because the whole core of that is making comparisons with the aggregate, the current implementation is using the same kind of monthly releases of data that kind of go through the same process of vetting that our quarterly reports do. So it's a little bit more frequent of an update monthly rather than the quarterly reports that, you know, have a kind of a 3-month lag as we are creating and distributing those. So
Okay, thanks. I know we are in the process of working on drilling down some of the AEs, so I think that will help. I think it will really help the sites. So
sure.
the next question is, another recommendation is regarding primary VAD versus prior VAD. We'd like to understand our outcomes in primary durable LVAD. If a patient is marked as having a temporary impella prior to their durable LVAD, they are not in the primary VAD reports, but it would be nice to distinguish outcomes for all first durable LVADs. So I know,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have reports, yeah.
So in terms of the reporting, I think this is something you and I need to discuss, Catherine, because this is kind of emerged as we've been, starting in version 6 or so, like late
Yeah.
2021, we started collecting that granular data so that we could determine whether or not those prior VADs were durable or not. So in some of our, like, not in our main QA reporting, but some of our other internal reporting, we've started using that. And so we could switch that to just like it said, so that it's not, so that the definition of quote primary is primary durable. Yeah, exactly like Melissa wrote. So we have the capability of that now. Some of the older data, you have to make a little bit of an assumption, but all of the more recent data, we can absolutely do that.
So for like your recent report, we'd have to make a little bit of a jump if you were looking at the comprehensive report, but for that recent report, the 6 months, we've definitely got the data there.
Yeah, so I think that would be a good reporting, not dashboard edit, but the QA reporting edit that would be pretty straightforward to implement.
Yeah, and I think with the just to give the sites a heads up, we are about to add, some more ECMO, RVAD, temporary VAD questions. So you're right, Ryan, Dr. Cantor, we have some more granular data, and we'll just have to have a discussion on the timeline of when you have time to make updates and what updates are necessary for the reports. Yeah, thanks. Thank you for that. So our next question is, are there specific definitions for some of the potential barriers to transplant, such as chronic renal disease or large BMI? I'm curious what other sites consider large BMI or advanced stage. So I can tell you, chronic renal disease, we provided updates. I think it was version 6, and John, you might know exactly, but I think it was version 6. We did make updates to that, the past medical history form. And I'm pretty sure there is a definition for chronic renal disease. Rachel, if you could email me, I can send it to you. As far as like large BMI or advanced stage, we did not add any definitions to this because the STS Intermacs task force believe that that varies across the country. So the regions. So if you what other sites consider a large BMI or advanced stage, that's really going to probably depend on your transplant committee or the LVAD committee that you really is at your site. I can ask the Intermacs core group what they enter. because they're from across the country. And if you want to email me, that'd be great. So I will have it, and I can definitely ask them. I hope that answered your question. And Melissa said, thank you for considering my feedback. Yeah, we're definitely always wanting to provide, get your feedback for the reports or the dashboard, or even if you have any questions about the database or something can be entered, any text or any fields, medications that you think we can enter that will help. That will be great. We always take that in consideration. So Tiandra's asking, when will Intermacs start public reporting? I'm not sure of that. I will definitely have to talk to the senior management at STS. I know right now we're doing the risk factors, and I think I would say, Tiandra, probably we're about to launch that, probably in about a year. So I know we're doing the risk modeling and getting the risk factors. So I think once all that's wrapped up, we'll be able to do the public reporting.
And I can comment a little bit about this from my perspective, not speaking
Okay.
for
Yeah.
STS in any way here, but through conversations, my impression is that as we finalize the risk adjusted outcomes and are able to calculate O to E ratios for these different outcomes, like long before it goes to public reporting, we'll provide sites with their own sites information through one of our reporting or dashboard mechanisms. So it won't be like a sudden surprise to anybody. It'll be like something that there's a lot of comment and feedback involved in all of that.
Oh, definitely. We'll definitely let the sites know. Definitely. So I'm going to wait a few minutes or wait a few seconds and see if we have any more questions. As I keep mentioning, now's the time. If you have questions for Dr. Cantor, John Pennington, or Maceo Clegette, now's the time to ask them. Again, these slides and this webinar will be posted on the STS website.
I have one kind of question or comment for the group, since everybody's here. One thing we keep tossing around the idea is to identify folks that have used some of the dashboarding or reporting or really just any of the data tools in a way that's been particularly helpful at their site. We'd like to talk to folks like that and maybe facilitate them sharing that story with other members, not today, but if anybody has found success or some neat way to utilize this information, we certainly would love to talk to you.
Yeah, that's great, Ryan. That's a really good point. Yes, we'd like to. In fact, yeah, if you can contact me or anyone at Kirkland Solutions, that'd be great. Just because the dashboard is such a great tool to use. We will be sending out an email talking about the new changes to the dashboard probably next week. But it looks like that's it for the questions, and I want to thank everyone at Kirkland Solutions for joining today. I know Dr. Singletary is probably logged off, but thank you, Dr. Cantor, for taking time at ISHLT to log on. Thank you, Maceo, and thank you, John, and I think Leanne had to go also from STS, but thanks everyone for their support. And if you have any questions, just remember you can contact myself or Patricia Potter. And we will talk to everyone in May for our user group webinar, which actually will be a good webinar because we're going to talk about, we actually have a physician to talk about temporary devices, and we'll review our RVAD and ECMO additions to the database. And then again, a reminder, the next Intermacs reporting webinar is July 20th at 2 p.m. Central Time. And so we will have the team from Kirkland Solutions on again at that time, so you can ask questions. So I want to thank everyone, and everyone have a good day.